So we are preparing to live stream.
Oh,
I guess we're live. Are we live?
yes, we're live.
All right, awesome. Welcome to the Vagrancy Talkback for, I don't know, do I just say the title? Nigga Bitch by Carol and directed by Ann James. My name is Janae LaShawn. I will be the moderator this evening, and I'm so excited to be here. So before we just jump right in, how about we just have everyone from the cast and crew joining us tonight? Tell us your name, the character that you played, and the pronouns that you prefer.
All right, I'll go. My name is Brittany S. Wheeler, and I played Nambi, she, her.
My name is Ann James. I was the director of this fantastic production, and my pronouns are she, her.
I'm Kathy Diane Tomlin, and I read the stage directions, and my pronouns are she, her.
Ed Barton, I played the man in the white coat, aka Dr. Paul, he, him.
I'm June Carroll, playwright, she, her.
Awesome. I believe that's everyone. So thank you so much for having me. I am so excited to talk about this play. And I'm going to do my best, to not go through all 7 pages of my notes, but I can't promise you anything. I really want to talk about a few different things as it relates to your process, the play. There's some themes that I felt were just loaded and right in my face, and I want to know if I'm on point or what are your thoughts around it, and then some cultural nuance, I guess you could say, questions that I might have. So, wow, congratulations. Super hype, and unapologetic, kind of like this play. So with that being said, and anyone can answer these questions. Some of my questions are specific for certain people, but please, if you feel inspired, just jump right in. So I kind of want to start with the way that the casting was set up and written. And so the double casting, it really tells a unique story. And I want you to talk to me about the experience of double casting, or June, why you were inspired to write it that way, if you will.
I think that the different iterations of a person are very interesting. And it's much more interesting to me to see one person flip into a different place than add more people. Part of what I'm wrestling with is all the stories that are going on in one body. And all of these different people with all of these different walks of life, what unifies certain of them is the body that they happen to walk in, the way they present, which may not necessarily be reflective culturally of what I suppose the culture expects.
Mm-hmm.
But I think with Nambi moving through this world, it was important to have 2 anchors, her and the man in the white coat. But everyone else, they're pinging off of different parts of themselves, and so I just felt like it would. Plus, it just seemed fun. It's just like it just seems like I think it could be kind of fun if this person plays 3 different persons. How different they are, well, I suppose I leave to others to determine. But yeah.
Yes, I totally enjoyed that. And there also was like this interconnected tissue that just really made me lean in. Does anyone else want to speak to the experience of the double casting or characters? I would love to hear from you, Brittany, of what it was like to balance your journey along with, you know, Sir Stanley and
Yeah,
all of his different dynamics.
yeah, indeed. As an actor, it's always fun to just pick up a bunch of different hats, but I think it lends itself over to Black women in particular, and how many different iterations of ourselves we have to have on a daily basis just to interact with other people, but also how much history we carry in ourselves, culturally, family wise, anything. And I tried to, as best as I could, remember my own family members, the females of my family, the women of my family, and what they had to go through those different time periods. And I had an actual family member to kind of match it to, especially with the Black Power scene. My aunt was a Black Panther, and was very, very similar in how she felt about certain things to Nambi in that scene. I just tried to pin it to an actual person and kind of live through her as much as I could, but also have my own little spin on it, to how I would react, and how is, and then thinking still about what they did and just trying to put it all together and hopefully it made sense.
Certainly translated.
I
Is there
think
anyone else?
logistically,
Yeah, go ahead. Yes.
yeah, I was gonna say, I think logistically too, it's brilliant in the casting because, you're dealing with this many actors, so there's this many schedules you have to work with, and yet you get this bouquet of characters. And I really, really loved that. I love that technology of that. I thought was truly brilliant, especially in this construct of a play that is a virtual play.
Yes.
I thought it was masterful. I thought that the actors really absorbed a lot of knowledge about the different characters that they played. And that was just, it was fun to direct individuals who were multi-talented and multifaceted, and to a playwright who could do that math to see which actors could absorb which roles. I thought that was masterful.
Yes. Ted, I'm trying to just see if you wanted to jump in there before I go to my next question.
Well, it's interesting because initially I was thinking, well, that doesn't really apply to my character because I don't play somebody else. But actually it does, I think, because where I end up is a different place than where I started. And I'm, of course, revealed to be a much more sinister, supernatural being than a mental health professional trying to get to the bottom of what's happened to Nambi.
Yes, absolutely. I totally agree. That art was like, oh, no, why are you talking like that? At least that's how it was. And I'm curious about what were some of the aha moments you all had or found pivotal within your process with this work.
I think for me, it was the long monologue where she talks about basically being made of stars. And Miss Ann and I had to, because I as an actor, had a hard time because anything, math and science, I was no, I didn't want to have anything to do with it. So it was a really beautiful aha moment because I was able to see my own, my own self in realizing my power as a Black woman, not only just as an actor, but how beautiful the language is, and recognizing, and how Nambi recognizes herself. No, this is who I am. You're wrong. I'm right. I know who I am, and this is what I'm made of. And that's just one of my absolute favorite parts of the entire piece. Is I don't know where that came from, Miss June, but it was unbelievable way to describe what it is being a Black woman.
And that we're too big for this world.
Too big.
We're too big. We are the universe. We are the beginning. We're the Alpha and the Omega. And the beauty of understanding that, and working with Brittany and working through the science of it all, and the super collider and the physics and the quantum physics of it all, and just so beautifully displayed in this play by Alfredo, our visual designer and sound designer. It was just so spot on, and hopefully it did June's words justice. I know that Brittany and I had a lot of fun kind of parsing out each one of those lines and go, well, what do you think? And well, what do you think? Oh, so this is where the goddess arrives. This is where, all those beautiful realizations throughout that writing were just so wonderfully displayed in the final product. And a shout out to Vagrancy for introducing me to Alfredo, who I want to put in my pocket and just carry him around.
Yeah, I totally agree. I wrote down like, wow, June gives a gift of honesty, of is so poetic. It's like, it's so rich. It's just like there's a richness about it. Like, I have so many takeaway lines, like, I was just, and unapologetic. Top of the dome, what are some of your favorite lines, or, lines that just, they just pop out to you? What are some of your favorite lines that really resonate deeply?
There's a monologue. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brittany.
Oh, I was just going to say that section where Nambi has a really frank conversation with the man in the white coat. And she says, well, I didn't mean us, when it comes to, oh gosh, somebody help me here. June, you put it on your Instagram today. And I was like, yeah, that's it. That's the one.
Yeah. God hates us because we're not in his image. And the man in the white coat says, why would he do that? Why would he hate us? And Nambi says, I didn't say us. Meaning, what we're taught is that ourselves are not acceptable to creation, the ultimate, the divine. And so it was just sort of a hey at that.
I love this, and please forgive me, June, because I was just jotting down notes, and if this is not the line, I am not trying to disrespect the divine work. But there's this moment where I believe it said, God wants me to suffer so I can know him. And I was just, that line sent me, because I was just thinking of how often Christian religion, or the institution of Christianity, or the concept of God when institutionalized, has this notion of unworthiness, especially when we're thinking about gender and race and class. And I was just like, ooh, that's a heavy hitting line right there. That one really resonated with me, along with a lot of them. I think early on there was a line, I will drown myself. And then the character says, I don't want to be strong. And there's just so much honesty in that notion of like, I need rest. And I think we talk about that too. In Act 2, that comes up a little bit. I have another question. I have a question about how does the intimacy coordinating translate in the virtual world, where maybe in space our bodies are not experiencing levels of intimacy, but our conversation and our content is still rather deep and intimate. So how does that translate, and what does that work look like in the rehearsal process?
That's a great question. I mean, words have power, and there's a reason why when we combine letters, it's called spelling. We are casting spells with our words, and they carry energy. And we have to be very careful about how we use words in a theatrical sense and in a performance sense, because the body doesn't know that we're acting. So when we're hearing words that are charged in content, our body collects that energy, and it has to have a way to safely diffuse that energy, a process in the intimacy world that we call de-rolling. So the question is not to censor writers. The question becomes, how can we make sure actors leave this experience feeling enthusiastic and whole about their next experience? Because the last thing we want to do is shut the mouths of the writers, because they are the scrying bowl for society. And we want to see ourselves, because if we don't see ourselves, we cannot change, and we cannot transform, and we cannot develop as humanity. And so when we're talking about intimacy, it's not just sexual, and it's not just physical. It can very oftentimes be spiritual intimacy, racial intimacy, cultural intimacy, verbal intimacy. So we just have to make sure that we are creating a container that is a safe space for artists to do their work. And I think we achieved it. I'm hoping that we achieved it in this process. You would have to ask the lovely players if they felt enthusiastic about the work, and if they had to carry any kind of residual influence from the work after rehearsals or after the process was over. But hopefully, that didn't happen.
I think that's a great follow-up question. Actors, you wanna touch base on that a little bit?
And Kathy too, with the stage directions, because a lot of the charged material came through the explanation of what was actually happening.
Absolutely. And some of those stage directions are also just a lot of the stage directions are riveting, and it feels so good to hear them, which is also a little blessing in disguise that comes along with Zoom theater, or a little bit of radio theater among us. Yes, all of the layers of the voices and the tones is just so beautiful.
Well, I think what happened was June made the stage directions just as rich as the rest of the language of the play, whereas most playwrights just put very minimal stage directions. He exits, she enters, that sort of thing. And a lot of those kinds of stage directions aren't really necessary, but because there was so much descriptive language, they really needed to be there. Because as I was watching it, it's one thing to, be performing it with everyone else, but when you're watching it and you're a little removed from it, you start hearing how all of those things that you were just saying sort of, bring all the, the characters or the scenes together, or the visual aspects or the sound aspects that were added in. And it just made it so much richer, than if we didn't have all of those stage directions, so that was a very nice thing to be able to do,
And you killed it. You nailed it.
Thank you.
Nailed it.
Ed, did you want to go?
It's interesting. And yes, I did feel very enthusiastic about the work. Um, uh, but as far as the format and what it added or detracted from, it's interesting because of course the top of Act Two, the man in the white coat appears only as a recording, and I felt that the early scenes, in a way, it was beneficial to have everyone in their Zoom boxes, at least from my character's point of view. There was something, it sort of lent this, I don't know, this clinical air to the proceedings, and to actually view Nambi in a box, an actual box. So that was all to the good. Of course, the actor in me found myself yearning for to be with actual people in actual space at the end, where there's a lot that's going on, that we can, I think, only suggest. But there you go.
Thank you for that. Tap in on that one too.
At first, I when June brought it to me, brought the project to me, I wanted to. She'd mentioned that some of the language was going to be difficult. So I remember reading through it and just immediately going, no, I need to do it. It needs to be it needs to be said. The stuff needs to be said. It needs to be seen. It needs to be understood. And so I didn't find it. I felt lucky, and I felt special that I was able to have the opportunity to put these words out there, so that, and not just Black women, but the entire, I know this is very cliche, but the entire human race could hear these words and know just how fortunate we all are, and how really quite special. I get very artsy fartsy, sorry everybody, but
go for it.
But you know what I mean? I felt like it wasn't something that I had to kind of decompress from or anything like that, because I just felt like somebody got it. Somebody got me as a person, and that I finally kind of found my little spotlight as a Black woman, and that I am made of stars, and that what I'm saying is important, and deserves respect and deserves to be listened to, and all of those different feelings that Nambi has, from not wanting to deal, from wanting some peace and quiet, but also being just like, you know what, this is who I am.
Yes. So that's beautiful. That's wonderful. Yes, I felt the same type of, when invited to moderate. I was like, oh, this what's up? What y'all talking about? Like, what is this about? Let me tune in. I would love to have a very intentional conversation. And I love how many layers there is. There's so many layers to this character. Just a beautiful arc. There were themes that I was really like tracking, picking up on, as it relates to the rules of the world in a Black woman, in Black womanhood, water immersion, Sankofa in Afrofuturism, docile allyship, the ignorant and inadequately accredited. I'm going to turn my page. I mean, I was like, there were moments where I just felt seen. I felt like, oh, let me try to find some words. And I'm like, but the words are there. It's said the way that it needs to be said. And in those just really zoomed in moments. And I'm not trying to be cute because we're on Zoom, but there were just spotlight moments, Brittany, like you said. And so I do want to know, and June, you might have already touched on this a little bit, but who did you have in mind when you wrote this play?
I think two types of people. Little Black girls and a young woman who was murdered last year, Oluwatoyin Salau. She was a Black Lives Matter activist who was actually murdered by a Black man. Um, I, you know, when I would ride the bus and I'd see like a passel of kids get on the bus, passel of Black kids get on the bus, and they're kids, so they're too loud, and nobody has any boundaries, and nobody has any sense, and you're just like, oh my God, would you please? But there was a joy to them that I saw. I could see the end. I could see the end of that joy coming because they're on the bus. They're in a public space. They're in a public space being, and I can already see the world closing in and closing them down. And so I guess when Miss Salau was murdered, I wrote one thing, and Kathy and Brittany were actually a part of that, and I was not able to get away from it. I wasn't done with it. Watching what happened watching 2020 just sort of sink us all in the mire.
Yeah.
I just kept thinking. I just kept thinking about healing and about healing for Black women in particular. Not that everyone doesn't need it, but there is a silencing that happens to Black women, even when there is a cause to be, when everyone is called, it's all hands on deck. Everybody's got to get out there and speak up for what's right, for justice. And there is an expectation. There's always been this expectation that you would marshal in behind the guys. And as a Black woman, you kind of have to choose. Either you're Black or you're a woman. Either you're with this cause or you're with this cause. And then, if then there is, are you cisgender? Are you female presenting and living in another? Are you lesbian? Are you queer? What are you? All of these identities just sort of like are thrown at you, and you cannot sit in this one body with all of these options and be at peace. And so, from those little girls in particular to the Toyin Salaus of the world, it just felt like, okay, I gotta talk. I gotta talk. That was just mad last year. Basically, I was mad last year. This is what happened.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
But you know what? It was a righteous anger.
Yeah.
There's a difference between being angry and being righteously angry. And I think that this play advocates for Black women. It does not hide the pain. It exposes the pain and uses the pain to cleanse and show the divine within, and show who we really are, which is beings made of stardust, and that we grace this plane of existence, coming in at the bottom. We're in the bottom rung of American society anyway. And still we rise, because that's where we belong. And that's why I chose to jump into this project with both feet, because I can advocate for that in this play all day long.
Yeah. And I really liked that repetition of that question, and then coming to that answer. It was a really beautiful arc of where am I? Who am I? Am I this? Am I that? Am I dead? Where am I? Who am I? And then I am that I am, which is to shake all these different categorical identities into just be, which is, in my opinion, an essence of liberation that can have the admission of peace in some pockets and places, but it's so worth it. It's so worth it because we restore that peace. We redefine what that peace looks like. And I'm curious about what is the message that the audience should understand about the Black memory, and what can be described maybe as post-traumatic slave syndrome, because we start with the chains, and we start in the water, and we continue to be re-immersed in water throughout our Sankofa, our revisiting, and our catapulting into the future. And I'm just curious, like, what are the messages the audience should be receiving? Or we're optimistic. I'm saying we're, like, I'm on the project too, but there is a hope that it lands. And is there some connection around post-traumatic slave syndrome when thinking about the Black memory?
I mean, if it's okay to sort of charge in with that, jump in. First, it's real. Our bodies carry the history of our experience. They just do. And as you said, the words, they carry energy, behavior, those things, they're real. And so, I love it when people will say, well, it was 400 years ago. It wasn't 400 years ago. Time may have passed, but ask yourself what's changed. And, that 400 years, and again, you said this, your body doesn't know that was 400 years ago because it's in the DNA. And so behaviorally, economically, socially, memory-wise, that first encounter with betrayal lasts generations. And so I guess what I would love would be for people to discover empathy, because, at the same time, people always say, well, it was 400 years ago. There's always, yes, but 2,000 years worth of Western culture. And you're just like, well, okay, which one is it? Pick one. It can't be, so I'm going to stay off the high horse.
Go.
I think
go. Go
I guess my hope is that there is recognition of the persistence of pain and of the will it takes to survive and do it anyway. Everyone has it. Everyone has that will. Everyone everyone has it. And so I think if there is a way for, if you come away with nothing, I hope it's that we are, all of us are, we exist. That is a miracle. It is a gift. It comes with a lot of a lot of a lot of a lot of a lot. But still we rise. Yeah. I don't know if that made sense, but yeah. My hope is that there is empathy. My hope is for empathy and recognition that it's not just one culture that is and persists and survives. We all do. And we are made of stars. Yeah. Anyway.
Oh my God.
Wonderful.
Uh,
Great. I actually don't even know what time I have. However, did anyone else want to kind of touch on that? But
no.
yeah.
You said
I'm
it so
like,
well.
I'm cool. I'm like, I think we just cut out about 5 questions.
Mic drop.
Thank you for that. Oh, it feels so good to be in this space, you all, with you all. Yeah, I have to say that. We touched on that a little bit. I'm curious about the relationship between Namdi and Emma and some of the representational complexities between white women and Black women. And how might like your lived experience have helped you portray these characters or these moments or direct these moments? Because I was picking up on some stuff, and I'm just curious about the complexities that were acted out between Emma, and not just Emma, because I think there was also Helene. Am I saying that correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, Helen, yeah.
Yeah. So, or Helen, thank you. So can we touch on that a little bit about these dynamics and complexities between white women and Black women, as it relates to like from their intimacy to this allyship to this like notion of sharing and still not being heard, or people what I felt like the non-Black characters expressing like white guilt or fragility. I believe the character said, it's not about you. Like all of a sudden everything became about them. Well, I didn't mean to. Well, I can't. So yeah, talk to me a little bit about the complexities specifically though between white women and Black women and how it was portrayed and represented in the show.
I've encountered those instances so many times. I can't even begin to tell you whether in my romantic life, just with friends, fellow artists, it has always been like that, where they're your ally, you think, but they do something that kind of makes you go, where'd that come from? Well, what do you mean by that? Well, you know what I mean? So it was refreshing for me to actually have that situation be put into a play, and then have the person that I'm playing have the vocabulary to be able to stand up for themselves. Because every single time that happened to me, I was rendered speechless, and then, talked a bunch after, I should have said this, I should have done this. And I was grateful for that, because Nambi had something to say and challenged her lover, her friend, her colleague, whatever it happens to be. And she had the vocabulary to say, what you're doing is wrong. And I know you feel like you're helping, but you need to be able to see past your own lens, past your own fragility, your privilege, whatever it may be, and really see me for who I am, instead of just automatically dismissing me or making me seem like I'm overly emotional, or I'm angry, or I'm jealous, or what have you. It just reminded me of so many times where that happened, and instances where I didn't think that happened when it actually really did. And I was grateful for that, because I feel like I have a bit of an arsenal, and I'm starting to build up my arsenal now. So I was grateful for those scenes, because I got to say what I always wanted to say.
Let me jump right in. Excuse the background noise. I think June hit those relationships like the nail on the head. I, like Brittany, have been involved in those situations as well. And you always find yourself trying to educate as well as admonish. And you know, you want them to put themselves in your shoes, but they can't. And it's such a huge frustration, to try to explain what you're feeling, and they're going, and you just see it in their eyes that they really don't understand the level of pain, I'll say, that you're suffering with, because all they can see is this surface level that they've been exposed to, and then they think about, like Brittany was saying, it might be their own privilege or whatever that keeps them from delving deeper into what the other is sort of feeling. So yeah, it's yeah. June hit it. Hit it hard.
I had a friend in college say to me once, we had just walked out of For Colored Girls, and she was really moved, and she was really just, oh my gosh, sent. And she said that she totally identified with the characters. And this is a white woman. And I was like, wait, what? What? And I'm not saying that you cannot identify with the pain, but that play is not built for that. That play is not built so that our allies can identify. That play is a scream from a very specific body. And I was, Kathy, as you said, I was trying to explain. I was trying to explain it to her, and she said to me, "Well, I mean, it's like Thelma and Louise. You don't identify with Thelma and Louise?" And I was like, "No, because the only guy in the play that looks at in the story that looks anything like me is the black guy running through the desert." And it's like, I guess empathy is a tall order. That saying, I take very much to heart. You have to walk that mile in another person's moccasins. I take that very much to heart. I'm not saying that it's impossible. I'm saying that it takes actual work. And there's a level of consumption of the pain of others that stands in place of empathy that I just really would love to put an end to. I don't want to. I don't want to go on, but yeah, empathy is not. Oh, that's just like what happened to me. That's not what empathy is.
That's commiseration.
That's commiseration. Exactly. That's commiseration. Exactly. Empathy is I don't know, maybe there's not an adequate way to, maybe I don't have the language to describe it. Empathy is recognition on a soul cell level. If I were in this body, this is how this would be. It's not something that you can colonize. It's not something you can take. It's not something that you should consume. But it's possible because kids do it all the time. You know, little black kids learn how to be good or not. Little black kids learn it every day. They learn it every day. You know, so
And no, I'm so sorry.
No, please go ahead. Yeah.
I was just also thinking of one thing. I work with youth as well. And one thing that we are unlearning together is that we don't treat people the way we want to be treated. We treat them the way that they want to be treated.
They want to be treated.
You know, and when you are speaking to empathy, just really remembering to be empathetic means it's not about you. It's truly about that person and their experience. And I think at times that even with Emma wanting that relatability to, it's like, yeah, you want to relate to the situation, but you also are trying to save yourself, right? Or like
Right.
be a martyr in some regard. It's still, you know, a little, there's something a little wrong with, a little off. Like the musicality is just a little off with it. And I appreciated, just the unapologetic head-on address. And we even get that with at the end where you have all of the characters, and I felt like if I seen it on stage, there'd be like a circling and we're saying the word nigger at this point versus nigga. And then like there's even a journey with the pronunciation of the word. And it started making me think, is Nambi's character in a middle passage of sorts? Or is this a rite of passage? Even the relationship and direct accountability to the Black man of you left me. His advising this repetition of like, whatever you feel, do the opposite. Whatever you wish, do the opposite, of like emotional survival, but not necessarily, emotional health. And so I'm curious. I'm curious about that. It's such an interesting dynamic with the Black man and woman. And yet it's still not just about like the Black woman's existence in relationship to the Black man, which is so refreshing, but it's still there. And this is not even a question. So let me start.
I think you're the dramaturg of this production.
That's my new like yum yum yum. I'm really leaning into that. I really like it. But yeah, are there some themes of the middle passage? Are there some themes of like rites of passage? We have that moment where we even get into our slave trope dialect and like some of I feel like our intercommunal conversations and jokes where I'm like, oh, this part of the play is simply for us. If you ain't get it, it ain't for you. So yeah, okay, talk to me about that. And I'm sure I'm gonna have to wrap up really soon. So I'm gonna pick like one more question.
That didn't seem heartfelt.
Yeah, I just okay. How
No,
about this? This would be a better
I'm on the East Coast. I'm on the East Coast, so I'm gonna have to call it for me. Y'all keep talking, but I'm like, after.
Oh no, I'm right there with you. We're on the same time.
But I mean, I really do believe.
How about this?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just tell me your final thoughts, like press conference style, like what you want the people to know that's watching on live. Because I'm obviously ready to go in for 4 more hours. Me 5 more but y'all tell me, how are you feeling? Closing thoughts and reflections.
Not it.
Well, I'll go because from the beginning. Okay, so the vagrancy. Can I just have a moment with the vagrancy? Because this project came across my laptop and I was asked to create a relationship, a writing directing relationship with this goddess here. And through the development of it started out as a short taste of a play, and then it became one act, right? Am I right on this? And
Yeah.
then it developed over the course of a few months, with us checking in with one another and her sliding me a couple of pages and me going, well, what about this? And, just this wonderful symbiotic relationship that I will never, ever forget. So for that, thank you, The Vagrancy. Thank you, Caitlin, for hounding me and saying, you got to do this. Will you do this? Come on. And, I couldn't have a more enriched and fulfilled, it couldn't have been a more enriched and fulfilled experience than this all the way to fruition. And so interesting to watch it develop. So what I would say to directors, I guess, if you're given the opportunity to work with a talented writer on the final steps of a play, or I don't even know if this play is finished yet. We don't know. I don't know. June, you might pick it back up. I don't know. See, not done. But through a pivotal point of development to this virtual presentation, take the opportunity, trust yourself, take the opportunity, ask the writer questions. Don't try to control the writer. Give that writer wings and freedom to bring their full selves to that writing, and you will benefit. So thank you, The Vagrancy, and thank you, June, and thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone.
Anyone else will have closing or final thoughts or reflections?
I'll just sort of jump in as a member of the Vagrancy. This is such a wonderful process to work on. June started this, I believe, last fall with another, a full group of playwrights who were given a theme, and to see the work evolve. We as actors from the company and actors who are brought in to do the readings, we don't see the process until the plays are at least halfway finished. And so I know that, Anne and June probably had a lot of interactions before it got to us, but to see where it is at about the midway point through the somewhat finished product, the product that's ready for the reading. It's just sort of mind-blowing sometimes to see the evolution, and to be able to work on our characters through that evolution. It's like, I think of, in this particular play, reading the stage directions as a character, because that's what Anne allowed me to do. Normally, the person who's reading the stage directions doesn't come in until the end when it's ready for the public, and then they just step on stage and start reading the stage directions. So this whole process, watching it evolve, is probably one of the best things. And I was also involved in one of the other plays, a long time coming, so to be able to work with two different pieces in the same series, same playwrights series, new play series, it's really wonderful.
I guess for me, it's just to for my fellow actors who don't necessarily fit in the mold of what Hollywood and Broadway says that you should, to just embrace that about yourself, because you don't know what will end up blessing your life because of it, because there are playwrights like June and there are directors like Anne who are going to give you a chance to really be able to do what you feel like you've been placed on this earth to do, and that our time is now. And convention is out the window, and we need to take advantage of it and have a damn good time with it. That's all.
I would just say I couldn't have asked for a more amazing experience. And you're just, what is going on with you? You're amazing. We had the conversations that we had are the reason that the play, the things that you were saying to me, the questions you were asking me, and I was like, oh, I'm stealing that. And said, I gotta cite this, I know, at some point, but I'm stealing that. And I just, Brittany, Ted, Kathy, Karina, Nikki, Mia, I just couldn't have asked for a more incredible. You couldn't. I can't even finish the sentence because it was so amazing to see this stuff come to life this way with these people, and just your talent and generosity. I'm forever grateful. Forever grateful. And Janae, it's nice to meet you.
It's so nice to meet y'all. I've been fangirling like for the past 3 days, not gonna lie. So it's so nice to be in the same little space with you.
And Caitlin, the vagrancy.
Oh yeah.
Thank
What's
you.
up, Caitlin? What's up?
This couldn't have happened without you. This wouldn't be without you. So.
And we definitely will be sharing. Well, I will be sharing for my little comp folks, because I know people that need to see this show that are going to just, they're going to fall in love. And we're going to have great conversations. So I'm excited to share your work. And seriously, thank you for allowing me to be a part of your success. Ted, I see you, and I'm not going to forget about you. If you have any reflections before we get out of here.
Oh, my goodness. Nothing. At this point, after this tsunami of eloquence, it's really, and what can I add? Only that it was a great privilege to say June's words, and I'm very excited. I trust that this is not the end for this play, and I'm very eager to see where it goes.
Amazing work again, you all. Congratulations. And peace and blessings. Have a wonderful night. Stay safe and all that good stuff. See y'all later.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good night. Early evening to some of you.
Yes.